Good to have with us today Les Butler, who wears so many different hats that it may take us a while in the intro to introduce you. So I'll just say hello to you, Les.
There's one of my hats.
That's right, Heart to Heart.
Yeah.
Old Time Preachers Quartet, producer.
Yes.
I mean, you name it.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned hat, that just happened to be about a foot away from me, so I thought I'd grab it. But they are on my label, and I am their producer, radio promoter, and boy, thank the Lord, they're hot as a pistol these days, so I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I wear a lot of hats. If I could turn around, you would see a significant bald spot on the back of my head, and that is from the taking on and off of hats the way I do.
I
But
understand.
thanks for having me, Robert. Brother, thank you. This is cool, this Zoom thing.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you on, and we're going to try to touch. I don't know if we'll touch on every one of the jobs that you got, but we're going to touch on several of them. One of which is producer. You are one of the top, if not the top producer in the industry. I hear people brag about you often. Just had a conversation with Tim Livingston, and he was talking about Les Butler. So
Wow.
You are renowned.
Well, I don't know about that, but I am blessed. I'll for sure say that. I'll be quick to say that. 42 years I've been doing this, and yeah, I've been blessed to produce that entire period of time, and many #1 songs, all that kind of stuff, an award or two. So far beyond what my mind ever thought would ever happen for Les Butler. So again, I got one word, and it's blessed.
Where producing is concerned, that's got to be something that requires a litany of refresher courses, if you will, because technology has changed drastically since you started producing 40 years ago.
That's an understatement. Now this computer that I'm sitting in front of is the entire recording studio. Well, not the studio, but the recording element of it. Whereas before, we had recording machines that I couldn't get into my office in here to record on 2-track and multi-track huge tapes that were literally this thick. And yeah, it's a different world. But the thing about it is I forgot who said this back in the day, but it was certainly true. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. And so all I've done is that. I was smart enough to find people that know what to do and how to do it, and surround myself with them. And so I get to wear the badge of success on a bunch of this stuff, but it's not me, it's everybody else that's around me.
Do you find it as a challenge, though, to keep up with what is new constantly in the recording industry?
Yeah, it is a challenge. And I'm blessed that my son, Matt Butler, does all that. He is my staff engineer, and an incredible one, an award winner himself. And so he does all that. And the good news is that A, he does it, B, he knows how to do it, and C, he loves doing it. I mean, he's a computer geek,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a gadget geek, and he's a recording geek. And so every little bit and piece and nook and cranny of a thing that comes out when it comes to recording, he's ahead of the curve. He's the first to get it, the first to figure it out, the first to use it. And matter of fact, he's part of a thing called Mix Coach, which was started by Kevin Ward, who is one of the top engineers in Southern gospel music for decades, and producers, and a great musician himself. He's moved to California now, and he's over the audio and recording for a huge mega church out there. But he has kind of hired my son, and my son teaches that kind of thing to other engineers, especially as it relates to the gadgets you're talking about, the new stuff that comes out. So I'm blessed to have the very top guy way ahead of that curve that just happens to be on my team. If it wasn't for that, oh, your old buddy Les couldn't handle that.
Obviously,
I use a pencil, Robert. You see that?
Yep.
That's my gadget of choice, a pencil.
Well, sometimes technology is almost, it's so good, and it makes you lazy in some areas, to where
Sure does.
Your some skills diminish. Are there parts of the production aspect that obviously the sound quality is just tremendous these days, but there are parts of it where you're like, I kind of wish we would still do it the old way where this is concerned.
Yeah, because of things called editing, tuning, aligning, um, you don't have to sing it right the first time. You just got to get close. And back in the old days, you had to sing it right. And so that translates not only in the studio, but from out of the studio onto the stage, because you had to figure out how to do all the parts right, do everything right for the recording. So you had it down when you went to the stage and could do it. Now you can even be lazy on the stage because there's stack tracks behind you that the engineer has perfected for you as a vocalist, and it can sing for you, kind of somewhat Milli Vanilli like. And I'm gonna be just straight up with you. I hate it. I hate it. Period. Like not comma and another statement. I hate it! Exclamation mark. As a matter of fact, I produce the Old Time Preachers Quartet, who Mike Holcomb and I own the quartet together, and that we're two of the four vocalists. We don't do stacks on our recordings, nor do we do them live. When you come and hear us live, every single solitary vocal that's sung happened on that stage that night. And I'm not saying that's the way to do it. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it. I'm just saying that's how we do it, because I hate it. And so, when we have a bad night, or we have vocal fatigue, or somebody's sick, guess what? You hear it in their vocal. But by George, at least we're real. And like everybody else, they get sick and they have a bad day, and they can't have someone on the line at the company where they work do something exactly the way they would do it. They're going to have a little bit of an off day. So all that makes us as human. And so we keep the human element for the Old Time Preachers Quartet. And we're going to keep doing it that way, good or bad.
Well, it's good and been very good. Let's talk about the Old Time Preachers Quartet. I guess my first and most obvious question is, do you have to be an old-time preacher to be a Old Time Preachers Quartet member?
Well, the answer, I guess, is no, but that's all we've ever had. Now, we've had some pinch hitters from time to time. There's a young man, for example, because of my schedule with Butler Music Group, Family Music Group, my own preaching schedule for myself, producing radio promotion. I mean, I'm normally 7A to 7P Monday through Friday, and normally 7A to 1 on Saturday for a normal week. And when we're on the road as a quartet, I'm 7A to 7P plus basically probably close to 18 to 24 hours a day, with travel and so forth, on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So because of all that, every once in a while, I can't make a weekend. It's just physically impossible for me to do it. And I've got a young man who pitch hits for me, and he's not a preacher. He's a better singer than I am. He's younger than I am. He's better looking than I am. He's skinnier than I am, and he's got more hair than I've got. And I pretty much don't like him at all. But he is my pinch hitter. Other than that, everybody else is an old time preacher in the Old Time Preachers Quartet. That's why we named it that. At first, we were going to name it the Preachers Quartet, just leave it like that. But there was already that name taken. And so I'm telling you, I just felt a nudge. I felt God poking me, saying, "Call yourself what you all are." I said, "Okay, Old Time Preachers Quartet." It's longer. It makes for a long web address, but it is who we are, and it's what we are. And all the members are old-time preachers.
Well, where the Old Time Preachers Quartet is concerned, when you put old time in front of a group's name, it does conjure up certain styles of music. Do you fit that formula, and do you make it a deliberate effort to fit that formula of old time type music?
Well, that's a good question. And to me, in my mind, when I hear old time, when it comes to music, I kind of have a left brain, right brain thing going on. For example, the Dixie Echoes, I would consider old time quartet music. Most of their stuff is a piano and bass guitar and no tracks. And a lot of times it's either one microphone and they sing around it, or two microphones and two guys on each mic. That's one version of old time quartet music, and we do some of that. But I also, the other side of my brain says, you know what, that old classic stuff of the Kingsmen in the cathedrals of the 60s and 70s also is very old time, especially as it relates to today's Southern gospel music. It's very old time. And we fit that mold. And I guess that's probably because of Mike and myself. Mike started in the 60s and started with the Inspirations professionally, I think in 71. And I started in the 70s. And so to us, yeah, that old time Southern gospel sound, as kids, for us, it was Blackwood Statesman, that kind of thing. But from a practical standpoint, our early entrance, it was Kingsmen, Cathedrals, Inspirations, that kind of thing. And so the songs on our albums and the songs that you hear us do in person very much sound like the 70s Southern gospel music of an Inspirations, a Kingsman, a Cathedrals, that kind of thing. So it's not the old timey of just piano and bass, but it's not the 300 vocal stacks and 100-piece orchestras and that kind of stuff. It's that 70s Southern gospel sound. It really is.
Tell me about the song "I Sang Myself Happy" and how it became the latest release for the Old Time Preachers Quartet.
Okay, well, it was. I always say this about our songs because, man, this is I think a perfect explanation. Our songs are either old songs or they're brand new songs that sound like old songs. and so this is a brand spanking new song written by Rebecca Peck and Diane Wilkinson. Let's face it, two of the greatest writers in our industry. And they just wrote an old timey sounding song that just fit us to the T, and they sent it to us. And we said, yeah, we'll take that. And so it just happened like that. We've had success with them on our other recording too. We've been together 4.5 years. We've cut 2 records. We've had success with them in the past. Matter of fact, on the first record and on this second record, I sent Rebecca 2 different notes late at night, both times, by the way. And I said on one of them, The Old Time Way, which was our very first single, I said, we just won the award for the best new quartet at the Diamond Awards, and Mike and I got the award, and we said a few things, and they videoed it. And I said, go back and watch that video. We said something that resonated with us. I think there's a song in it. This was about 10 o'clock on a Friday night. About 11:30 Friday night, ding went in my Facebook box, and she had written a song called The Old Time Way, and it was like, whoa. And so the same thing happened on the second record. I gave her a phrase that my pastor uses a lot: long live old time religion. And about 3 hours later, we had a long live old time religion song. So we're all the time back and forth with, especially with Rebecca, as well as Diane. And so they got together to do this song, and it fits us to the T, man. I mean, just the feel of it, the sound of it, the words, the arrangement, the music. This is the Old Time Preachers Quartet.
You being a producer and singer, do you find yourself more picky about how you do perform or the group performs on stage? Are you a perfectionist?
You know, that's a yes and no answer. I am, especially when I'm working with everybody but us. When it comes to us, here's our problem. There's 4 of us. We live in 3 different states. Our schedules are absolutely teetotally insane, especially mine. I lead the parade. If I showed you my daytimer book, y'all just say, you're crazy or you're lying or both. But it's true. And so because of all of those things, we never, ever rehearse. We don't practice. We get on stage and start practicing with an audience in front of us. And it's made for some funny for some funny times, a time or two. But because of 3 different states, 4 different schedules, we don't have a bus. We all drive in our cars. I give them the coordinates. We come screeching in with rubber burning, and we get there in time, and we get up and we do our thing. But because of that, We don't rehearse, and so I can't be that perfectionist that I want us to be. That's the bad news. The good news is we've all done it so long, it ain't too bad, brother. You know, I don't have to be a perfectionist with those guys because they've done it so long. They're their own perfectionist, and we just show up ready to do what we know what we have to do, and God has honored it, and we're blessed.
How do you learn new music?
In front of 400 people. It's the truth. I know it sounds crazy. I'll send them, something in advance. I'll send them an email so they can hear it and all that. But here's as close to a practice as we get. We will, set up. We'll get to the venue, to the church or concert hall or wherever it is. It can be anywhere from small churches to Dollywood or Blue Gate Theater. The Lord's blessed us to do all kinds of stuff. But we'll get there wherever it is, and we'll set sound. And if we've gotten there enough time in advance, and there's enough time, then at that point, before we change clothes, we'll gather around a microphone, start hammering out a song, and work on some parts and that kind of thing. That's as close to as a rehearsal as we've ever gotten.
Wow, that to me is talent. The ability to put together that sound without rehearsal is impressive.
Well, we'd like to rehearse every once in a while. No telling what we might be able to do if we could do that. But again, hey, there's 24 hours a day, and you're talking to four guys that's burning them all, and we do our best. And again, God has honored it, and we feel blessed to do what we've done in the short period of time that we've done it. Again, winning awards and singing those top 10 songs, and our second single was one of the top 30 songs of the year in the year-end chart for the magazine, and getting calls from Dollywood and Blue Gate and churches and preachers. I mean, we're speechless. We're so blessed.
I did look at your schedule before we started talking, and it said you were to be somewhere tonight and tomorrow night in Kentucky, I think. Is that on, or is all of that off?
That's off.
Okay.
And I thought I had that off of our site. See?
You're busy.
I'm busy. Boy, but thank you for mentioning that. As soon as we hang, matter of fact, my trusty pencil, see how that comes in handy right there?
I see.
I'm writing it down. Let me do this. Okay, I got to go on our site and check our schedule is wrong. Yeah, we had, like everybody else, we had all of our March blow up on us, all of April, all of May, except for maybe a Sunday in May that still a couple churches are starting to get back, and we were scheduled, and they may still have us there. But I mean, we've gotten things that, a month ago canceled in June. I got a call yesterday. I'm supposed to get another call today to confirm it, of a huge outdoor event that we did last year. They wanted us back, and we've had it on the calendar. It looks like they're going to cancel the whole October event. Man, that's October. That's 5 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit disconcerting. I mean, that's if you're talking about blowing up October and all that. Of course, November, there's some things for us typically to do. December's always a down month for everybody. Really, you're talking about losing the year. And wow, I mean, I don't know what to even say about that. I will say this. I'll speak for the Old Time Preachers Quartet. And I had a text from Mike Holcomb about an hour ago he was talking about this. We have a meeting tonight we're going to do on a phone call. But he was saying, man, God has just taken care of us during this time. I mean, he hasn't been able to go preach or sing anywhere. He hasn't moved from his home in Bryson City, North Carolina since sometime in March. And he said, I'm telling you, I've had churches call me that I haven't heard from in years. I've had preachers call me. They've sent in little gifts and things along the way. And he said, man, we're eating. God's providing, and we haven't asked for anything. It's just manna. It's just fallen down. And all the other guys have said the same thing. And let me testify, God has sure enough done that for Les Butler and his family. It's been unreal. We ended our text exchange a while ago. I ended sending Mike a text saying, how in the world do people make it through times like this that don't know the Lord?
Mm-hmm.
How do they do that? man, I'm thankful I know him. He loves me. I love him. He hasn't seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread. And I'm amazed at the goodness of the Lord.
I agree. And as a matter of fact, me and my wife talking about the same thing where we are concerned. There's an old song that just always comes to mind. God likes to work when nothing else will.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Love it. Karen Peck and New River.
Yep.
My word, I have played that song thousands of times on my radio show. That is as true of a song as you'll ever play.
Well, it has been a pleasure to talk with you today, but before I let you go, I've got to let our audience know where they can get Old Time Preachers Quartet music, where they can get product, if they want to get in touch with you. How do they do it?
Well, can I quickly talk about this contest?
You sure can.
Okay, we've got, you mentioned the single a while ago, I Sang Myself Happy. And by the way, every DJ that heard our album when it first came out, and some media people, magazine people said, surely you're going to send that out as the first single. And we thought that's what was going to happen. Well, that was over a year ago, and we just didn't feel like that was it. And I can't even explain why. But all of a sudden in December, in November, as I'm putting this January disc together, in December, while I was getting the disc together for March, it felt like, okay, I don't understand this, but this is it. This is the right time, the right song. And there was no talk of coronavirus, had never been mentioned. We're talking about December. China was still covering it up back then, and nobody knew anything about it. And all of a sudden, this comes up now, but now this song was already sent and ready to be shipped to radio. And how appropriate of a song right now. I mean, I know it's bleak, it's dark, it's gloomy, people losing their jobs, and you can't work and you can't go out and you're quarantined and all of that stuff. But I'm reminded of Paul and Silas in a hole in the cleft of a rock that they called a jail, where they couldn't even stand up in this rock. They had to bend down to get in and to stay in. They were sitting there in their own filth. And what did they do during that horrific time? They reared back, they prayed, they sang, gave an altar call. People started getting saved, and revival broke out. Mm-hmm. And so for the child of God, gloom and doom should not be part of what we go through during this gloom and doom time. We ought to rear back and, like they did, sing ourselves happy. What a perfect timing for this song. I can't believe it happened like that. But so with all of that going on, I created a contest. That's a fun little thing, and all your listeners and those watching this can certainly participate. We want to know what any gospel song, could be a new one, could be an old one, an old hymn, whatever. What gospel song puts a smile on their face every time they hear it or every time they sing it? And they can go to our website, oldtimepreachersquartet.com. There's a contest button, and they can just type out the little form there. It'll take them a minute. Or they can call a recorder line that I have and sing a little bit of it. We've been having fun with that. That's been good. And that number is 800-360-5051. 800-360-5051. Or, and this is even better, they could do a little video of them singing it and text it to me, and we have a big time doing that. So you can do a little video, text it to 615-218-0517, 615-218-0517. Then on June 1st, we're going to randomly choose a winner, and they're going to win a big old gift package valued at $500 worth of DVDs, CDs, books, T-shirts, other things, and VIP seats to the Mike Huckabee TV show in Nashville. You get to meet and greet Mike and be a part of a VIP session. Man, I've done it a few times. It's absolutely just incredible. A couple of VIP tickets to the Passion Play in Eureka Springs, just south of Branson. So it's a big prize package, and it'll be a random winner. So we want you to participate in that. Here's how you can book us, buy our stuff. You can go to oldtimepreachersquartet.com. Our store is there, place where you can email me and talk about dates. We, of course, have a Facebook page, or you can just call me direct at 615-218-0517. And that's how you do it. And Robert, man, thank you for doing this. I've never done one of these Zoom things, man. So you've broken me in well. You know what you're doing. It looks good. And you had great questions. And Yeah, well done, Robert. Good
Well,
good work, brother.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for being our guest. And too, all that information that you just passed on, especially the information in regards to the contest, we will post with this interview on our Facebook page. So if you're listening and haven't looked, it's there. Les Butler, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Great music from the Old Time Preachers Quartet. And we'll look forward to talking again soon.
I'll do it. Thank you, Robert.